What if I told you that you could set firm, clear boundaries with your toddler without raising your voice even once? Not because you're a naturally calm person, not because your child is easy, but because you have a set of tools that actually work. That's what today's video is about. Stay with me. Let's start with the honest truth. We yell because we feel unheard. We've asked once, twice, 5 times, and nothing has changed. So our brain decides that volume is the answer. If they won't listen at our normal volume, surely they'll listen if I'm louder. But here's what the research tells us. Yelling actually makes children less likely to comply, not more. It activates their stress response. Their nervous system goes into fight, flight, or freeze. And a child in survival mode cannot process instructions, cannot make good choices, and cannot learn. So yelling doesn't just feel bad, it literally doesn't work. There is a better way. Before we talk about how to set boundaries, I want to share a real scenario from our home, because I think it would sound very familiar to a lot of you. I asked my 5-year-old to make her way to the door. We were running late for an appointment. No response. I asked again. Still nothing. I repeated myself several more times, and still nothing. And I felt it, that anger rising up from somewhere deep. Partly because she wasn't following my instructions, partly because I was stressed about being late, and partly, if I'm being really honest, because I didn't feel respected, so I raised my voice. Sound familiar? I thought it might. And here's what that moment taught me, because I've thought about it a lot since. I didn't have a boundary problem in that moment. I had a clarity problem. My child didn't know what the real consequence of not moving was. She didn't understand the weight of what I was asking. And that is not her fault. It's never the child's fault for not understanding the weight of consequences they have never been shown. But it is our job, as their parent, as their safe person, to make our instructions clear enough that we set them up to succeed. Clear instructions don't just prevent conflict. They prevent tantrums before they begin. And I hadn't done that clearly enough in that moment. That was on me. And knowing that, truly knowing it, changed how I show up for her. Which brings me to what a boundary actually is. Because there is a lot of confusion around this. A boundary is not a threat. It is not a punishment. A boundary is information. It tells your child what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, and what will happen if they choose not to cooperate. A boundary set with kindness is just as firm as one said with anger. In fact, it's firmer, because your child can actually hear it. When we yell, they hear the emotion. When we are calm and clear, they hear the message. And the message is what matters. Strategy 1. Say it once and mean it. One of the biggest reasons children stop listening is because they learn that our words don't mean anything until we are angry. If you say, "We're leaving in 5 minutes," 17 times before you actually leave, your child learns that 5 minutes means nothing. You say it once, calmly, clearly, and then follow through. We are leaving in 5 minutes. When I come back, I need you to have your shoes on. then walk away. Give them the chance to comply. And when you come back, follow through every single time. I want to share something from my own home here, and I share this with so much love and zero judgment towards my husband, because he's a wonderful, deeply caring father. When we were fresh parents, he was so empathetic towards our eldest. He genuinely felt she was too young to be held to strict instructions, so he would give her 5 minutes. And when the time was up and she was still busy playing or asked for a little more, he would soften. Okay, 5 more minutes to finish up. And that was that. It came from such a tender place in him. He just loved her so much that didn't want to cause her any distress. But here is what happened over the years. That pattern quietly became the dynamic between them. She learned, gently, naturally, without anyone meaning for it to happen. That 5 minutes with Dad had some flexibility in it. That there was always a little room to negotiate. And we didn't even realize how deeply that dynamic had settled in until our eldest started talking. One day she looked up and said, "Daddy always lets me have another 5 minutes." Out of the mouth of a toddler, plain as day. She had clocked it. She had filed it away. Children are always watching, always learning, always building a map of how the world around them works, and who in that world means what they say. She knew. She had known for a while. My dynamic with her looked different. I would say it once, and I would follow through. Not harshly, but consistently. And over time, she came to understand that when I say something, I meant it. There was less room to bargain, not because I was stricter or less loving, but because my words were predictable. She always knew where she stood with me. Neither of us was wrong in our intentions. We were both loving her the best way we know how. But what this taught me is that consistency, gentle, warm, loving consistency, is one of the greatest gifts we can give our children. It tells them, "You can trust my words." And a child who trusts your words feels safe. Consistency is the foundation of every boundary that works. Strategy 2. Use your body instead of your volume. When a boundary needs to be set, stop what you are doing. Walk over to your child, get down to their eye level. We talked about this in our last episode, and I cannot say it enough. Make gentle eye contact. And then speak quietly, slowly, clearly. There's something about a calm, close, quiet voice that commands far more attention than a loud one from across the room. Your presence is the message. Your body says, "I am serious about this," far more powerfully than your volume ever could. And here's something I want to add. Especially for those moments when you can feel the anger rising and you're genuinely about to lose it. When you feel yourself right on that edge, about to explode, try this. Walk over to your child, get down to their eye level, and take their tiny hands in yours. Something shifts when you do that. Something almost involuntarily. That moment you feel those little hands in yours, how small they are, how warm, how trusting, it naturally triggers something deep inside you. A reminder, they are only so young, they are only so little, They are not giving you a hard time. They are having a hard time, and they need your help. That one small physical act, hands in hands, eye to eye, has the power to bring you back to yourself in a moment when you thought you were already gone. Try it. It works. Strategy 3. Name the boundary and give a brief reason. Children are far more likely to cooperate when they understand why. Not a long explanation, just a sentence. We don't hit. Hitting hurts people, and we keep everyone safe in this family. We turn the iPad off at 7 because your brain needs sleep to grow. You're not asking for their permission. You are giving them the dignity of an explanation. That small shift makes a significant difference on how they receive your boundaries. Strategy 4. Acknowledge the feeling while holding the boundary firm. This is the one that changed everything for me. It sounds like this. I know you really want to keep playing. That's so hard when you're having fun. And it's time for bath. I'll race you to the bathroom. You are doing two things at once. You're seeing them, their disappointment, their frustration, their very valid feeling. And you are not moving the boundary 1 inch. Both things are true at the same time. This is not weakness. This is the most powerful parenting move there is. Let me give you a real example from our home because I think this will make it click. When my daughter was younger, shower time was a battle. Every single evening she would drag her feet, find every possible reason to delay, and the resistance was real. So instead of making it a confrontation, I made it a choice. Some evenings it looked like, do you want mommy to help you with your shower tonight or daddy? That small choice gave her back a sense of agency. She wasn't being dragged to the shower. She was choosing who came with her. And other evenings, on the days when even that wasn't enough, it looked something like this. Do you want to be a baby lion tonight? And I'll be the mommy lion. And we will prance all the way to the shower room together. And off we went, prancing, down the hallway, into the bathroom, 2 lions. The shower still happened. The boundary never moved, but we got there with joy instead of tears. That is what acknowledging the feeling and holding the boundary can look like in real life. It doesn't always have to be serious. Sometimes it gets to be playful and silly and full of laughter. And those are the evenings your child would remember. Not because you forced them into the shower, but because their mom turned it into an adventure. Strategy 5. Follow through and do it with warmth. A boundary only exists if it is followed through every single time. But following through does not have to look harsh or cold. You can be warm and firm at the same time. If you said the iPad goes off at 7 and it is now 7, the iPad goes off. But you can do it with a hand on their shoulder, a soft voice, and I know it's hard. Let's go find your favorite pajamas together. The boundary is non-negotiable. The warmth around it is everything. Boundaries are not the opposite of gentle parenting. They are the backbone of it. Children who grow up with clear, consistent, kind boundaries feel safer, calmer, and more secure than children who grow up with none. You're not being mean when you hold a boundary. You are being the safe, steady presence your child needs you to be. If this resonated with you today, Subscribe so you don't miss next week's video. And drop a comment below. Which of these strategies are you going to try first? I read every single one. See you next week.